I knew my sexuality, but I didn't think of the representation that I didn't see in the business. I didn't think about those things.
Yeah.
When I came out to my family and my friends when I was about 19 or 20.
At 48, Tevin Campbell has finally broken his silence, and what he revealed is shaking the internet. In a recent interview, the former R&B prodigy opened up about long-held secrets involving his past, his identity, and a troubling connection to the late Quincy Jones. While some applaud his courage, others believe he's pulling back the curtain on a darker side of the 90s music industry.
There's a lot of people that are going to try to tell you who you are, or try to convince you who you are. When you go home, away from all that, you need to be happy with what's going on.
Fans are now asking, was Tevin a victim of a system that used him and threw him away? Or is he confirming rumors many were too afraid to believe? Long before the internet knew his name, before the rumors swirled across message boards and podcasts, Tevin Campbell was just a 12-year-old kid from Waxahachie, Texas, discovered by music producer Benny Medina and introduced to the world by the legendary Quincy Jones in 1989. His voice could silence arenas, earning him chart-topping hits like Can We Talk and Grammy nominations while still in his teens. But behind the accolades was a young boy finding his feet in a world that wasn't built to protect him. Now, at 48, Tevin is finally speaking out, shedding light on the parts of his life he kept hidden for decades. In this video, we explore what fans believe are Tevin's darkest secrets: alleged exploitation during his rise, uncomfortable whispers about Quincy Jones, and the painful truths that may have fueled his silence.
The winner is Can We Talk by Tevin Campbell.
In the early 1990s, Tevin Campbell was everywhere, from TV appearances to radio countdowns, award shows, and magazine covers. Born in Waxahachie, Texas, Tevin was just 12 years old when he was discovered by talent manager Benny Medina. By 1989, he had been introduced to legendary producer Quincy Jones, who featured him on the Back on the Block album, a move that would launch Tevin into the heart of the music industry. His 1991 debut album, Tevin, went platinum. And by the time Can We Talk hit the airwaves in 1993, Tevin was a household name. With his angelic voice and stage presence, some even called him the next Michael Jackson. But behind the carefully polished image was a much darker story, one the public never saw. As his fame skyrocketed, some began to question just how a young boy rose so quickly in an industry notorious for preying on the vulnerable. Conspiracy theorists and longtime fans alike have pointed to what they describe as suspicious patterns, from the powerful industry players surrounding him to the abrupt shifts in his career. And at the center of those conversations, his mentor, Quincy Jones. Allegations, whispers, and unexplained gaps in Tevin's story continue to raise uncomfortable questions. The Quincy Jones connection: grooming or guidance? Quincy Jones, one of the most influential and legendary figures in music history, undeniably played a pivotal role in launching Tevin Campbell's career. It all began in 1989 when Campbell was just a young boy of 12 years old. Quincy Jones featured him on the track Tomorrow, A Better You, Better Me, which appeared on Jones's critically acclaimed album Back on the Block. This collaboration was more than just a song placement. It was Tevin's official introduction to the mainstream music world and served as a powerful springboard that set the stage for his rapid and meteoric rise during the early 1990s. At this time, Quincy was widely regarded as a mentor and protector to Tevin, guiding the talented Texas native through the often confusing and ruthless complexities of the music business. Jones's mentorship was seen as a blessing, offering Tevin a rare chance to thrive in an industry that could be unforgiving, especially to young black artists. Behind the scenes, Quincy's extensive network and expertise opened doors for Tevin that few others could access. This period was marked by critical acclaim, platinum-selling albums, and a promising future that seemed destined for superstardom. However, over the years, the relationship between mentor and protege began to take on a much darker, more complicated dimension. In 2018, during a revealing interview with Vulture in Los Angeles, Quincy Jones made several cryptic remarks about his past, the music business, and the protégés he once guided. His elusive and somewhat ambiguous comments reignited a firestorm of interest and speculation around his connection to Tevin Campbell. Almost immediately, a wave of old rumors resurfaced across the internet in discussion forums, social media platforms, and countless YouTube deep dives, questioning whether Jones's influence over Tevin had been purely supportive or if it masked a more controlling and possibly exploitative dynamic. Fans, conspiracy theorists, and industry observers began revisiting long-standing allegations that during Tevin's formative years, the late 1980s and early 1990s, Quincy Jones might have leveraged his immense power in ways that went beyond mere mentorship. While these claims have never been confirmed nor legally substantiated, they paint a troubling and unsettling picture of a vulnerable child star caught in the crosshairs of a music industry notorious for manipulation and exploitation. This ongoing and often heated debate raises serious and uncomfortable questions about the true nature of Tevin Campbell's early career. Was Quincy Jones simply the nurturing mentor the world believed him to be, or was he, perhaps unknowingly or otherwise, complicit in darker forces that preyed on young talent during one of the most influential eras in music history? The answers remain unclear, but the shadows that linger over this chapter in Tevin's life continue to provoke reflection on the complex, often hidden costs of fame and success in the entertainment world. If the rumors surrounding Tevin Campbell's past weren't already complicated, things took a dramatic turn in 2020 when Jaguar Wright, a neo-soul singer known for her unfiltered exposés on the music industry, dropped a bombshell.
Maybe you didn't want nobody to remember about the Hollywood Boulevard. Maybe you were hoping that was so long ago, and because it happened before Facebook, it didn't really exist, you know, kind of thing. How does a boy with a voice like that had the records that he had that could have easily transformed into one of the greatest male vocals of all time, end up prostituting himself for and change on Hollywood Boulevard?
During a widely viewed interview posted on YouTube, Jaguar claimed that she had seen Tevin Campbell on Hollywood Boulevard, engaging in activities he should not have been doing. She described a version of Tevin that was lost and struggling, allegedly involved in survival activities to support a personal habit, all while being overlooked by the industry that once celebrated his talent. "I'm just glad you came out," Jaguar said later in the interview, addressing Tevin directly. "But people need to understand why you disappeared for so long." Tevin did not stay silent. Shortly after the interview went viral, he responded fiercely on Twitter, calling the allegations defamatory and threatening legal action. According to @Jaguar Wright, "I was a worker on Hollywood Boulevard," he tweeted in November 2020. "It's called online defamation. Do not test Tevin. My lawyer is on deck." Despite the strong denial, the conversation didn't fade. Fans and commentators dissected Tevin's response, noting the emotional intensity behind his words and suggesting that his reaction might hint at a painful past he's not yet ready to fully reveal.
And then not long after that, Tevin Campbell disappears and nobody hears about him and nobody speaks his name until he gets arrested. And then it makes national news.
The rumors surrounding Tevin Campbell's troubled past didn't emerge out of nowhere. In 1999, when Tevin was just 21 years old, he was arrested in Los Angeles during an undercover sting operation. Police charged him with soliciting a lewd act from an undercover officer and found a small amount of marijuana in his possession. The media frenzy was immediate and relentless. This was the same young man who less than a decade earlier had captivated millions with his unforgettable Grammy performance and platinum albums. Suddenly, headlines shifted from celebrating his talent to focusing on scandal, confusing many fans who didn't fully understand the nature of the charges at the time. That was the day the public stopped seeing Tevin Campbell as a prodigy. One fan wrote online and started treating him like a punchline. Following the incident, Tevin's presence in the music world faded dramatically. No more chart-topping hits, no major interviews, just silence. But behind that quiet withdrawal, many believe there was a deeper struggle unfolding, an intense identity crisis coupled with the heavy burden of unspoken trauma.
That was a great time in my life. I grew up a lot in those years, being around people that were like me, LGBTQ plus people that were like living normal lives and had partners.
Long before Tevin Campbell publicly came out as gay in 2022, speculation about his sexual orientation had quietly circulated for years among fans, music insiders, and online communities. In the 1990s and early 2000s, the music industry, especially the world of Black R&B, was notoriously unwelcoming to openly queer artists. The fear of backlash, loss of fan support, and industry rejection created an environment where many felt forced to keep their true selves hidden. For Tevin, who rose to fame as a fresh-faced teen with an angelic voice, remaining silent about his identity seemed to many a necessary choice to protect his career and livelihood. Beyond the industry pressures, some internet theorists and fans have speculated that Tevin's prolonged silence was also connected to darker personal experiences. These rumors focus heavily on the relationship between Tevin and his mentor, Quincy Jones, during his formative teenage years. In 2018, when rumors resurfaced following a controversial interview Jones gave to Vulture, one viral Reddit thread captured a sentiment echoed by many. You can't come out when you're still recovering from what someone did to you. Tevin himself has never confirmed any abuse or misconduct. On the contrary, he publicly dismissed such allegations, responding on Twitter with humor and defiance. Now I'm trending, folks will really say some disgusting things. Tevin was molested by Quincy, GTFOH, with the Despite his denial, the conversation didn't end there. Many fans continued to connect the dots between the timeline of Tevin's silence, his sudden career shifts, and moments of personal difficulty. For years, these unresolved questions fueled speculation that he was grappling with deep pain and trauma behind the scenes, an emotional burden he never fully addressed publicly until his courageous decision to come out in 2022, finally breaking decades of silence and inspiring many who faced similar struggles. In 2022, after decades marked by silence, speculation, and painful rumors, Tevin Campbell finally did what fans had long hoped for. He came out publicly as gay.
That was a great time in my life. I grew up a lot in those years, being around people that were like me, LGBTQ plus people that were like living normal lives and had partners.
In an intimate, heartfelt interview, Tevin shared words that carried the weight of years spent in quiet struggle. What makes me happiest right now is how comfortable I am in my skin. Those simple yet profound words resonated deeply not just for Tevin himself, but for countless fans who had followed his career and life from afar. For many, he had come to symbolize the silent pain and resilience of closeted artists navigating the unforgiving terrain of the music industry, where authenticity often comes at a steep price. Yet alongside the celebration of his announcement, a haunting question lingered in the minds of many. Why now? After so many years of public silence, what finally gave Tevin the strength and safety to live openly and honestly? The timing sparked intense discussion and analysis among online investigators, fan communities, and cultural commentators. A prevalent theory is that this moment was made possible by significant shifts both within the music industry and the wider cultural sphere. The once towering influence of Quincy Jones, a legendary producer and mentor who played a pivotal role in Tevin's early career and who is often at the center of swirling rumors and speculation, has markedly diminished in recent years. His fading presence has symbolically represented the loosening grip of some of the industry's oldest gatekeepers. At the same time, a powerful wave of artists, survivors, and advocates have begun speaking out with renewed urgency about abuse, exploitation, and the systemic injustices embedded in the entertainment world. This growing movement has challenged the culture of silence and secrecy that once protected powerful figures at the expense of vulnerable talent. As one popular YouTuber, known for deep dives into industry conspiracies, put it, now that some of these old gatekeepers are gone, we're going to see a wave of people telling the truth. For Tevin Campbell, this changing environment may have finally offered the sense of safety and solidarity necessary to share his truth on his own terms. His coming out was not just a personal milestone, it was an act of courage that illuminated his journey and shed light on the broader fight for authenticity, justice, and healing in an industry long plagued by hidden trauma. Tevin's announcement opened the door for deeper conversations about identity, resilience, and survival in a world that has historically demanded silence from those who dared to be different.
Well, that's what the word actress used to mean back in the 1800s. It meant
In the revealing and widely discussed 2020 interview, neo-soul singer Jaguar Wright made a striking and unexpected comparison while speaking about Tevin Campbell's troubled past. Drawing on a well-known historical example, she likened Tevin's experience to that of Judy Garland, one of Hollywood's most iconic child stars from the 1930s, whose life tragically became a symbol of the dark side of early fame and exploitation.
Judy Garland used to say it best. They come and they love me while I'm on stage, and then I go and I take the clothes off, and it's just me and the bag of bones.
Judy Garland's story is both legendary and heartbreaking. Signed to a major Hollywood studio at a very young age, she was subjected to relentless pressure to perform, grueling work schedules, and emotional manipulation behind the scenes. Even more troubling were the reports of forced drug use, medications given to her to suppress appetite, boost energy, and keep her going through punishing filming days. These abuses took an enormous toll on Garland's mental and physical health, leading to repeated breakdowns, struggles with addiction, and personal turmoil that haunted her throughout her life. Her experience became a cautionary tale illustrating how the glittering facade of fame can conceal devastating exploitation and trauma, especially for vulnerable young performers.
This business has treated Tevin Campbell heavy-handed and neglectful.
Jaguar Wright didn't shy away from making the connection to Tevin Campbell's own story. In blunt, no-holds-barred terms, she suggested that Tevin's rise and fall mirrored Garland's tragic trajectory. "He was just like Judy," Jaguar said, her words heavy with implication, "used until he broke." The comparison struck a chord, painting a vivid picture of a young artist caught in a cycle of exploitation, valued for his talent and marketability, but ultimately left to struggle when the pressures became too much. This analogy quickly caught fire across the internet, sparking widespread discussion on social media platforms, music forums, and fan communities. Many began to frame Tevin Campbell as embodying what some call the Judy Garland archetype, a pattern where gifted black artists are discovered early, thrust into the spotlight, exploited mercilessly, and then discarded when their struggles become inconvenient or when their commercial appeal wanes. One Twitter user poignantly summarized the sentiment that resonated with many. "He wasn't protected, he was marketed." The blunt truth highlights the painful irony of Tevin's situation. Rather than being shielded and cared for, he was commodified. And when he stopped generating profit, the industry simply let him spiral out of sight, a casualty of a system that often prioritizes profit over people. This comparison to Judy Garland doesn't just evoke sympathy for Tevin. It opens a wider conversation about the patterns of exploitation that have long plagued the entertainment industry. It challenges fans and insiders alike to rethink the cost of fame, particularly for young artists of color, and what it means to truly support and protect them. One of the most unsettling conspiracy theories swirling around Tevin Campbell's story is the belief that the music industry wasn't just unaware of the struggles he faced, it actively chose to ignore them. Fans, commentators, and insiders have pointed out that during Tevin's formative and peak years, numerous powerful figures within the industry had access to him. These weren't just casual acquaintances, but influential gatekeepers and executives who had the ability, and some say, the responsibility to protect a young artist thrust into the spotlight at an incredibly vulnerable age. Yet, as troubling signs of trauma, confusion, and distress became more visible, nobody stepped in to help. Instead, silence and denial prevailed. From the outside, Tevin's career appeared nothing short of meteoric. Discovered as a prodigious talent, he rose rapidly through the ranks of R&B royalty, delivering hit after hit and capturing the hearts of millions. But those watching closely noticed unsettling patterns beneath the surface patterns that told a far darker story. His sudden 1999 arrest in Los Angeles shocked fans and industry insiders alike. The charges, including soliciting a lewd act and possession of a small amount of marijuana, seemed to mark a turning point, signaling deeper struggles behind the scenes. Following that, Tevin abruptly vanished from the mainstream spotlight, retreating from the music world he had once dominated. And perhaps most strikingly, he waited decades before publicly coming out as gay, a decision many see as entwined with his past traumas and the harsh realities of the entertainment industry's attitudes toward sexuality. For many fans piecing together these events, these moments are not isolated incidents, but parts of a larger, more troubling narrative, a pattern of exploitation, silence, neglect, and sometimes outright abuse that has haunted far too many young artists before him. It's not confirmed. One dedicated fan wrote on a popular music forum, but all evidence suggests that Tevin was a product of a sick machine, and now he's finally breaking out of it. That machine is the music industry itself, an empire built on profit, image, and control, often at the expense of the artists who fuel its success. Especially for vulnerable child stars like Tevin, the industry can become a ruthless environment where young talent is marketed and commodified, where powerful gatekeepers wield enormous influence, and where signs of abuse or trauma are frequently ignored or covered up as long as the revenue keeps flowing. For years, Tevin's silence and struggles were met with confusion, rumor, and speculation. But in recent years, as survivors across the industry have begun to speak out and demand accountability, more voices have joined the conversation about what it truly means to protect and support artists. Tevin's story, painful and complex, is now being seen as a crucial example of the emotional cost behind the music, the unseen battles fought by those whose voices defined an era.
I love my fans, but what they think about me and my sexuality is of no importance to me. Yeah. Like, you support me, that's cool.
Today, Tevin Campbell is slowly taking back control of his own story. After years of silence and speculation, he started opening up, joining podcasts, sharing moments on social media, and proudly embracing his identity. While he hasn't named names or laid everything out on the table, many see his willingness to speak at all as a brave step forward, especially in an industry that often encourages silence. But the past still lingers. That Jaguar Wright interview, where some painful and controversial things were said, still pops up online and keeps people talking. The whispers about Quincy Jones and others tied to Tevin's early career haven't gone away either. They're still alive in forums and videos where fans try to make sense of it all. Lots of people are waiting not just for Tevin's full story, but for the music world itself to finally acknowledge what really happened. Because if even half of what's been suspected is true, Tevin's story isn't just about a gifted singer with an incredible voice. He's a survivor. His journey has been filled with highs and lows, amazing music and unforgettable performances, but also deep pain and struggles that most never saw. Behind that powerful voice was a young boy who, according to many, was failed by the very system that should have protected him. Whether the full truth ever comes out or not, one thing's clear. At 48, Tevin Campbell isn't hiding anymore. And by finally speaking his truth, he's starting a conversation that the music industry desperately needs: a conversation about pain, healing, and what it really takes to protect the artists we love.